Back in March of 2023, Alex Murdaugh was found guilty on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of using a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, with the 2 victims being his own wife and his son. Investigators believe Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were killed around 8:50 p.m. near their dog kennels. Paul is shot twice with a shotgun, once in the chest and once on the head. Maggie is shot 5 times with 300 blackout ammo from an AR-style rifle. 2 of those shots strike her in the head. There's also a point where Maggie's phone was picked up, activating her Face ID security feature, but the phone remains locked, implying it is picked up by someone who is not her. And this entire time, Alex Murdaugh says he wasn't even present on the property. But clearly he was, because he was heard on a Snapchat video his son took minutes beforehand. This is one of those puzzling cases where you don't really understand how someone could do this to their family, but I'm pretty sure he did it. The defense team for the convicted double murderer Alex Murdaugh is demanding a new trial amid allegations of jury tampering by the court clerk in South Carolina. An explosive motion filed last week alleges Colton County Clerk Rebecca Becky Hill pressured jurors to reach a verdict so she could secure a book deal. This county clerk did the one thing you're not supposed to do, which is sway the fucking jury. Well, you're not really supposed to do that. Everyone has a right to a fair trial. That's how this country is. So this is definitely going to happen again, in my opinion. But let's watch this clip of his lawyers talking about it. It's pretty wild.
Anytime there's outside influence in the sanctity of the jury room, it is improper. And the legal question is not whether the outcome of the trial would have been different. The question is whether the information provided to the jury outside the confines of the courtroom is prejudicial. I mean, you can never go back and rewind the clock or put the toothpaste back in the tube. So you know, that's a game that we can't play.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right. You can't fucking taint the jury's minds in any way or influence their decision in any way. Like, this lady's a fucking idiot. All for a book deal? Like, what a dumbass. I'm pretty sure she got fired or something. Apparently, she can get charges too. I don't know how that works, but
what we do know is the conduct that the jurors have reported to us is highly improper and frankly illegal.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dick, though, but to get this new trial, you're going to have to prove that whatever Becky did or said would have had some sort of material impact on the verdict, correct?
Wrong. We've got to show she acted improperly. If improper conduct occurred, there is a presumption that we get a new trial. I mean, it is the United States Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals of South Carolina have all ruled on this issue. I've got to say, couldn't find a single case where the clerk of court did something like this, but we did find a couple cases where bailiffs did this. There are cases where court officials say things, do things that indicate they have an opinion or that they interfere in the dissemination of information to the jury outside the courtroom.
I mean, what a disaster. Can you imagine how the prosecutor feels in the state attorney's office? They're like, holy shit, we're gonna have to do this again because of the damn court clerk influencing these minds, dude. They're probably so mad.
To show that it would have made a material difference.
This motion is going to have to be heard by the same trial judge who oversaw the case, Judge Newman. Are you planning on asking for a new judge?
Well, I mean, first of all, the Court of Appeals has to rule it goes back. Secondly, I think Judge Newman realizes, based on our filings, that he's a witness. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think is going to carefully examine. I have the greatest respect for him. And I think he's going to examine the pleadings and may conclude, as we have, that he's going to be a witness in this process.
Why would he be called as a witness?
Well, there's at least 2 instances where it was reported to him. One instance where clearly it was reported to him the clerk had a conversation with a juror outside of the confines of the jury room, not under his direction. Unsettling. The question is, did he follow it up with questions? If not, why not?
So real quick, this is what the clerk said to the jury. 2 jurors signed sworn affidavits saying that Miss Hill warned jurors not to be fooled by Mr. Murdaugh's defense. Miss Hill, who later wrote a book on the case from her own point of view, has not responded to the allegations. The county clerk handles mainly administrative matters such as ordering food for jurors, overseeing logistics for trials. Miss Hill had secret conversations with jury foremen and also made comments about the case with other jurors who are not even supposed to discuss the case with one another until they start deliberating. One juror's affidavit said that the deliberations were set to begin. Miss Hill told the jurors this shouldn't take long and that if the group could not reach a verdict before 11 p.m., they'd be taken directly to a hotel for the night. This crossed the line, dude. What was she thinking? She was trying to rush the process up to get a book deal. That's literally what she was doing. Some people and their money, man, they gotta make that money quick. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. She crossed the line though. She's
soon after the trial, actually, as soon as the verdict was rendered, we had gotten, some indication from folks in the courtroom that there was something untoward that had happened in the jury room. We didn't know exactly what, and we went on a campaign to try to find out what. And we were met with silence, though, and we think it was the impetus was Becky Hill's book that opened the door for us to get information from the jury that we were able to file in the court here yesterday.
Sworn affidavits from 2 jurors and interviews with other jurors indicate that the clerk of court went into the jury room prior to us presenting our case, saying, don't be confused, don't be persuaded. When Alec Murdaugh was testifying, don't believe him.
I mean, holy shit. Isn't that unreal? I mean, no matter what this guy's accused of, that's crazy, right? She went into the room where all the jurors were and said, don't be persuaded by his testimony. Oh, another trial's happening. I don't know when.
Every case you can read is enough to give us a new trial. You don't even have to show they listened to it or that it made any difference. That kind of intrusion into the sanctity of the jury room is an automatic new trial.
Mr. Griffin, is there any reason you didn't reach out directly to Rebecca?
To the jurors who gave us the information, and we got, sworn testimony from the jurors. We did not reach out to her. We knew that she had a lawyer related to other matters, and so, we went forward with the information that we had to file it in court.
What did Alec Murdaugh say when you gave him this news?
I met with Alec in person, showed him the affidavits, and I can tell you that he's a lawyer, been a lawyer for a long time. He was startled, he was shaking, he was shocked, and he understood the significance of it, and he thanked Dick and I for beating the roads of Colleton County to get this information.
And Mr. Harpootlian, why do you think a new trial is going to really make any difference? Mr. Murdaugh admitted on the stand that he lied to the police about his alibi. Why could he get exonerated a second time around?
Factor is that the jury heard 2.5 weeks of the financial fraud before we ever got to the murder trial. And I think it's important to understand that if you look at the forensics, if you look at the government's case, there's no way forensically he could have committed these murders. But George, I want to say one thing before we move on to that. The 2 jurors that gave us affidavits hired a lawyer, Joe McCullough. They would talk to us and before they gave us the affidavits. The other jurors out there are on a group text, reasonably informed that last week when these allegations began to surface, one of the jurors said, quote, "Who's talking?" I'm concerned that these jurors don't understand the import of what's getting ready to happen. They need to get lawyers. They need to understand they may have some exposure, to be careful before they start talking to the FBI or SLED or even us.
You think that, I'm not following that exactly. You think the jurors violated the law?
I think there could be, if they could be accused of violating the law, I think that if I were them, I'd want a lawyer, just like the 2 jurors that we talked to, hired Joe McCullough to be their lawyer, so there'd be no problem with exposure for them.
Wow. I mean, this is getting fucking hairy. This lady calls a goddamn disaster, dude. Now, some jurors could get in trouble if they expose themselves in some way badly. Basically being greedy for a book deal, trying to rush the process, clearly, because she made a book within months of the trial. So yeah, he's gonna have another trial. Keep updating this whole situation. If you're new to my channel, subscribe from Instagram. Love you guys. Peace out.